And good morning, everybody. Welcome to this TGIF Friday edition of our Hey Scotty Mac Live Facebook show, and of course, our Friday podcast, our Friday Football Bonanza, where we've got a lot to get to today to get you ready for a big weekend of college football. I am Scott McKinney. Glad you're with us. If you're just joining us on our Facebook Live broadcast, thank you for being with us. Hit the like button and hit the share button. We would greatly appreciate that. That helps us grow our audience. Or if you're listening to us on our podcast this morning at our website, collegegamenotes.com. That's www.collegegamenotes.com. Let me encourage you to subscribe to the podcast. You'll see on the page there a place where you can type in your email address and subscribe to the podcast. And we greatly appreciate that. And if you're on the podcast this morning, good morning to all of you. We're glad you're with us. So Big Friday coming up. Don't forget, later today, we've got our college football recruiting roundup show coming in just after lunch today. You'll be able to have it here on the Facebook Live and on the podcast as well. Also, don't forget tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, it's at 9 a.m. We have our college football kickoff show where we preview all of the games coming up on the college football schedule, the last-minute injury updates, the last-minute Vegas updates, and all those things. So that comes up every Saturday morning. But if you're just joining us here on Facebook, hit the live button, hit the share button for us, the like button, I should say, and the share button. We would greatly appreciate that so very much. It just means the world to what we do. I want to thank our great sponsors at my-pak.com, those amazing backpacks we've been showing you and telling you about for quite some time, and we want you to check those things out. Our good friend John Harshfeld and his team over there have put together these amazing backpacks, and they are going like hotcakes. People are loving those things, and the really cool thing about it that you can't find these things anywhere else is the fact that you can get these backpacks and you can change out the window every day. If your child wants a different backpack every day, all they have to do is change it out by printing out whatever you want to print out for them. So it's really kind of cool. So check it out at my-pak.com. We'll show you those backpacks again coming up in a bit, but my-pak.com, www.my-pak.com. Also want to thank our friends at Bayou Bill's Crab House. Boy, that's a great place to think about going tonight on a Friday night for an amazing crab dinner. All their snow crab, their Alaskan king crab, their Choctawhatchee Bay blue crab, very, very fresh and just perfectly prepared. So you guys want to check that out there at Bayou Bill's. 2 locations, one in Santa Rosa Beach on Highway 98. The other location is in Inlet Beach, right out in front of the Winn-Dixie. So make sure you check that out as well. So that is really a fantastic place for you to go and enjoy just a great meal. Also, we want to thank our friends at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport. Of course, Second Amendment Shooting and Sport located in Niceville, right across from the Sears and the Pep Boys there on John Sims Parkway. Great selection of firearms, also the concealed carry permit classes, a huge selection of silencers. That is going to be a fantastic place for you to go check out. You know, Christmas is coming up. You want to go ahead and start thinking about, if you're thinking about a firearm or a hunting rifle or what have you, if it's a Christmas gift, you want to go ahead and start working on that so you can get all your paperwork done. And they do all their paperwork right there in-house. They are able to speed it up and get it done, which is really cool. So check them out over there at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport. And our friends at 98 Barbecue, Santa Rosa Beach, we appreciate them so much. They sponsor our Game of the Week contest. This week we have 2 games, not one, but 2 games for you to win that $20 gift certificate from 98 Barbecue. Our 2 games this week are, of course, Clemson at Louisville, the big game of the weekend. And then, of course, the other game we're having the score contest on is Tennessee at Florida. So type in your score prediction for both games. You have a chance to win not 1 but 2 gift cards there. That'd be really cool. Type in your score prediction for the Florida-Tennessee game and for the Clemson-Louisville game, and you could win a $20 gift card, or you can just email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com, and we'll make sure to get you in the contest. Had a large number of people in last week's contest, and we've had some good picking so far. It's been kind of crazy. You guys have done a really good job, but I think in our first 2 weeks of picking games, the winner has missed it by 1 point each time. So that's pretty cool right there. Well, a lot to get to here. Of course, everybody's getting all set and ready to go for the weekend. The weekend of college football is upon us. The really cool thing about what this weekend brings to the table, of course, is the fact that you've got some games now that are starting to unfold in conference play that mean a lot, like the Florida-Tennessee game. That's going to be a big-time football game. The Mississippi State-LSU game for the SEC West lead is going to be a huge game this weekend. There are others we're going to get to in just a short time. Then you've got, as we mentioned, the Clemson-Louisville game in the ACC, a huge ball game for the ACC folks. You normally would have the Florida State-Miami game this weekend, but that game has been postponed, obviously, from the lingering effects of Hurricane Irma. That game has been postponed to October 7th. And then, of course, some games like Texas out at Southern Cal, a rematch of that 2003 national championship game. So there's a lot of games now. You start getting past the cupcakes a little bit and getting into the meat of the schedule. That makes for a very fun weekend. Now, we're going to look at some things today. Where are the upset specials this weekend? We like to look at that on Friday. Where are the upset specials this weekend? Can you tell me what you think your favorite upset is? We're going to go over mine here in just a minute. Also, we're going to look at is the loser of the Tennessee-Florida game facing a very difficult uphill battle, and will the losing coach of that game be definitely headed out the door? We'll talk about that. How much longer can Kevin Sumlin hang on at Texas A&M? And what's going to happen with Mississippi State fans when LSU marches into Starkville and wins that game? And if they win that game, are they going to start putting a little more pressure on Dan Mullen to win the big games? We're going to talk about that more too. So we got a lot of stuff to get to this morning. Glad you are with us. Happy Friday, everybody. We're going to take a quick break. We're coming right back here on Hey, Scotty Mac Live. And welcome back, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Good to have you with us on our Facebook Live broadcast here on this Friday morning, or if you're listening on our podcast, our audio-only podcast at collegegamenotes.com. Man, we greatly appreciate that. Let me ask you, if you are watching on Facebook, have you been over to check out the podcast page? Have you? Big question mark. Even if you normally just watch the Facebook page, go over to the podcast page at collegegamenotes.com. That's collegegamenotes.com, and subscribe to what we do. I would greatly appreciate it, and it helps us grow what we do. And I think you will be able to find that you can get the show in audio format. A lot of people love the Facebook, but also some people just want the audio-only version so that they don't use up the data on their phones or their iPads or whatever plan they're on. So you can go to collegegamenotes.com. That's collegegamenotes.com. It'll take you to our podcast page. You can play it, you can download it, and follow us. There's a place where you can sign up to be a follower of the show, and that would be awesome. That way you can keep up with everything we've got going on. So go check it out at collegegamenotes.com. Also, yesterday, or I guess it was Wednesday night late, around midnight or so, this week's issue of the Extra Point College Football Newsletter came out. So if you're a subscriber, hopefully you got that. If you didn't, let me know. And if you did not get it, make sure to check also your whatever folders your spam, your bulk, and all those, and also check your folder for if you're a Gmail customer. They have folders along your inbox that are social and promotion. So check all of your folders there, because sometimes it will get in there. We use our friends from Constant Contact to send it. But if you'd like to get on the list to start receiving the weekly email college football newsletter, email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com, and I'll make sure to get it to you. Man, that thing's chock full of good information. You're going to absolutely love it. And we have a subscription fee. We keep it the same. It's $20 for the year, and that's for like about 25, 26 episodes. So I mean, $20, come on. But that helps us cover the expenses that we have in getting everything done, and we appreciate it so very much. There are college football newsletters that charge $99 a year, but not us. We only charge $20 a year, and you're going to blow $20 with something stupid in the next day or two, because I do. You know, it may be 4 ham and biscuits over the weekend or something. But email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com, and I'll get you the information about subscribing to our newsletter. So, and again, if you're watching on Facebook Live on this Friday morning, or even watching the recorded version of the Facebook show, please hit the like button and the share button there. You guys see that? I would greatly appreciate that if you would do that. Hit the like button and the share button, and that helps us grow what we're doing. I want to see everybody hitting that like button and the share button. Let's look at the schedule this weekend. Let's talk about where some of the possible upsets are. Last night, of course, Boise State gets a kind of an unimpressive win over a New Mexico team that's still trying to figure things out. Tonight, you got South Florida hosting Illinois. Temple is hosting UMass, and Arizona is at UTEP. So you got 3 games on the college tap tonight. But where are some of the upsets coming up this weekend? And let's look at those and kind of give you some idea of where you might want to keep an eye out for the upset bug. South Carolina is a 5.5-point favorite over Kentucky, and we have picked the Gamecocks to win. That game in Columbia, Will Muschamp's team is playing with as much confidence as they've had all year, and they're off to a great start. But, Kentucky is playing a little bit wounded right now. I've got South Carolina to win, but I'm going to put the Gamecocks on upset alert, if you will. I think Kentucky has a chance to go in there and win that game. And I'm going to write these down, our upset alert teams. And we're going to rank these 1 through 5. And I'm going to put Kentucky, I'm going to put them as a 2-star to upset South Carolina this weekend. We'll continue on down the line here. Coastal Carolina is a 3.5-point favorite over UAB. That game in Birmingham. I've picked UAB to win this one. I think UAB is going to upset Coastal Carolina, because Coastal Carolina is favored. So we're going to put UAB as a 3-star upset special this weekend. Let's look on down the list here. North Carolina, Larry Fedora's team has really struggled to start the year, but their schedule has been very difficult. They just played Louisville last weekend. They're a good football team, but boy, when you lose a couple of hard-fought games, people start pointing fingers. Your players start getting down, wondering if what you're doing is the right thing. Old Dominion is not a bad football team. Let's put North Carolina on a possible upset alert, a 2-star upset alert this weekend. Middle Tennessee State is at Minnesota, and Middle Tennessee State defeated Minnesota to get themselves on the college map. Oh, wait a minute. That was college basketball. I was just kind of kidding. Y'all remember that in the March Madness tournament? Kermit Davis Jr., the head coach at Middle Tennessee State, his Blue Raiders upset Minnesota in the NCAA tournament, kind of put Middle Tennessee State on the map, so to speak, college hoops. Well, they're hoping to do that in football this weekend as Middle Tennessee State takes on Minnesota up there in Minneapolis. Middle Tennessee State is not a terrible team. They lost to a pretty good Vanderbilt team. Minnesota is still trying to figure things out. Middle Tennessee State is probably as close to an SEC team as you're going to get minus the depth, obviously, and the talent level. So I think we'll put Middle Tennessee State on a 2-star upset alert this weekend, which is that's something to keep an eye on. Also, let's continue to look at where our upset specials are this weekend. You know, Clemson is a 3.5-point favorite at Louisville. I think Louisville wins that game straight up. I've got Louisville on the upset alert this weekend. Clemson, I should say, possibly being upset. Louisville at home. We saw what Louisville did at home this time last year to Florida State. Here comes Clemson rolling in. I don't think Clemson will get railroaded like Florida State did last year or get blown out of the building. But, if Louisville starts playing downhill on Saturday, things could get ugly for Clemson with a new quarterback. So we like Louisville to getting the points there as an upset. All right, looking down the line, Purdue and Missouri. Missouri is a 7.5-point favorite, but I think Purdue is going to go down to Columbia and win that game straight up. Purdue is playing a more physical style of football. They're not quite where they want to be, but they're closer. They're kind of on the upswing. Missouri, everybody got excited when they scored 70-plus points against Missouri State, but as we said earlier this week, that was Missouri State. You're talking about a very bad 1AA team. And so Missouri then came back against South Carolina. I thought the lock, as a matter of fact, it was our highest 5-star play on our Scott's locks last weekend. That was Missouri. Missouri was laying 3.5 points at home to South Carolina. Our 5-star play last weekend was South Carolina. So that is all. I mean, that was like a gift, and we made that. And of course, that covered pretty easy for us. So we're going to put Purdue and Missouri on the upset alert this week, and I think Purdue getting points, wrong team favored in that one. Tennessee is getting 4.5 points on the road this weekend at Florida at the Swamp. I said it all week. I like the Vols to win this game. All summer, and I've heard it this week from the Tennessee fans. All summer, man, I just blasted Tennessee. I thought this team was going to be really, really bad. I just have not been sold on Butch Jones and his coaching ability. But got to tell you, so far so good. But on the other side of that, if we could just see anything out of Florida, we might feel differently. Now, we've only got one game, a very small sample size to choose from, and that was Florida's loss to Michigan. But there was fundamentally so many issues with Florida: offensive line blocking, tackling, coverage, offensive schemes, your confidence of the quarterback. It just makes me worry that even though you've had 2 weeks to get ready for this game, you have had the distraction of the hurricane. I think Florida and Joe McElwain would have loved to have been able to play that game against Northern Colorado last week, if no other reason, just to kind of work out some of the demons that they saw against Michigan. So I think Tennessee's playing with a little bit more confidence right now. They're going to go on the road. They're going to upset Florida this weekend in the Swamp in that one. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to finish up our upset specials. We're going to talk a little coaching carousel as well. If you're just joining us or if you've been with us the whole time, let me hear from you. Type in what city and state you're watching on Facebook Live this morning. Would you do that? Would you type in your city and state so we can give you a big shout out? Or if you're watching later in the day, do the same thing. And if you're listening to us on our audio-only podcast, on our podcast website at www.collegegamenotes.com. That's collegegamenotes.com. Hit the button there where you see on the collegegamenotes.com website. You see the place that says follow the podcast. Well, go ahead and follow our podcast. Subscribe to that. We would greatly appreciate it. Of course, you can find us on iTunes and the Apple Store as well. So, all right, we're going to take that break. We're going to come back, continue talking about the upset specials and where are they this weekend, because they are certainly out there. We are ready for a big college weekend, and I hope you are too. So we're coming right back right after this on Hey Scotty Mac Live. everybody. Welcome back. Glad you are with us so very much. Thank you for hanging with us on this Friday. We greatly appreciate it. Man, what a big time college football weekend it is. We're all excited about that. There's a lot of things going on, and we got a lot of things happening here this weekend, and we're excited. There's a lot of different things that we're getting pumped about. A big college football weekend. And get out and watch college football this weekend. There's a lot of great places all over the country to watch college football. I want to say a big shout out. I don't know if he's watching this morning, but our good friend, good buddy Blake Jones up there in Booneville, Mississippi, the owner and operator of Fisher's Family Restaurant. I saw this week, or maybe it was early this week or into last week, they put in TVs now. So if you're up in the Booneville, Mississippi area, you can go over there to Fisher's and watch all the great college football games and enjoy some incredible food. Man, that food there, we were up there for my dad's funeral, and the catfish at Fisher's Family Restaurant in Booneville, Mississippi is out of this world. Also, their hamburger steak with gravy and onion. You know, you used to go to the old restaurants and get the hamburger steak with the gravy and onion and a good piece of Texas toast, man, to sop it all up. That's making me hungry right now. That's what they got it all right there at Fisher's Family Restaurant, and a big shout out to our buddy Blake. But I know he had put in. I saw he posted on Facebook where he put in some TVs, so that is really cool. So if you're up that way, I mentioned down here in the Panhandle, Bayou Bill's Crab House now. Of course, they have the sports bar at each location. I mean, they have the restaurant there, but they also have the sports bar where you can go in and enjoy all their great menu items, great drink specials, and TVs everywhere to watch the games. Kind of a laid-back place at Bayou Bill's and Inlet Beach and Santa Rosa Beach. Of course, Acme Oyster House, another one of our great sponsors. They've got TVs in their locations all over, from New Orleans over here to the Destin area. So head on out to your favorite Acme Oyster House and enjoy games this weekend. My buddy Stuart Houston, who has all the Hooters stores and been a big supporter of ours. Of course, you can't go wrong when you go to your neighborhood Hooters stores and watch all the games. So get out and watch some college football this weekend. It's going to be a fun schedule. Now let's go back and look. The last game we looked at was Florida and Tennessee. Where are the upset specials this weekend? That's what we're talking about this morning. Continuing down the line, a lot of people are saying keep an eye on Army versus Ohio State. And Army is a better football team. But the truth is Army is not even in the same league with Ohio State. A lot of people are down on Ohio State after that loss to Oklahoma last week. But I think Ohio State's going to bounce back big time. So keep an eye there for Ohio State to blow that one out. I do not put Ohio State on upset alert this weekend. By the way, I do need to correct one thing, and I want to thank my good friend Michigan Eddie from Panama City Beach, Florida, for reminding me of this. I made a point yesterday. We were talking in the show about the Army, Navy offenses, and I made the point of Army has spent the entire offseason, summer and preseason, installing the Navy offense. I said, Navy had beaten them so many years in a row that the Army said, hey, if we're going to beat these guys, we need to install a different offense. Well, I totally forgot, and I knew this, that Army actually did defeat Navy this past year, 17-14. We watched the game. Never miss it. And Michigan Eddie sent me a note and said, hey, I think they did win last year. So Michigan Eddie, thank you, my friend. That's why I love you guys. We have the smartest viewing and listening audience there could be anywhere. So I stand corrected, and my apologies to our friends at Army. But I don't think you're going to beat Ohio State this weekend. Looking on down the list here, Louisiana Monroe they're getting 5 points. They're a 5-point underdog at home to Southern Miss. I love Jay Hobson and the Southern Miss Golden Eagles, but that's a tough task going over to Monroe. I think Southern Miss is going to win the game. I'm not ready to say Monroe is going to win, but I like this Southern Miss team, but going on the road like that can be difficult for sure. Let's see here. A couple other quick ones here. Ole Miss is a 3.5-point favorite at Cal Berkeley, the Cal Golden Bears. Ole Miss has been a team that has been very good at home and terrible on the road, and obviously their defense is porous at best. So I would not be surprised to see Cal upset Ole Miss this weekend. As a matter of fact, I'll put Ole Miss on a 2-star upset alert for the weekend. So there's your upset specials for the weekend, and we'll see how that plays out. But I think there are a lot of potential upsets in the brewing, especially the next couple of weeks. I was already looking at schedules for the next couple of weeks, and boy, we got some great games coming up. As a matter of fact, once we get past this week, I just want to look ahead, just not this week, but coming up next week. Duke is at North Carolina. That's a huge basketball rivalry, but that's also a huge football rivalry. Now, that could be huge. That's a game to keep an eye on. Penn State is at Iowa next week. That's going to be a big one. North Carolina State has got a good football team, will come to Florida State, and Florida State hasn't played in what seems like a month. Mississippi State goes to Georgia next week. That's going to be a huge football game. Florida goes to Kentucky. Now, just imagine, and this is going to lead me into what I want to say. Just imagine, if you will, if Florida loses to Tennessee like we predicted, then having to go to Kentucky next week. Boy, Florida has not started 0-2 since 1971. That was the year that Walt Disney World opened. And they could start 0-2 by losing to Tennessee, then have to go on the road, a very difficult road trip at Kentucky. Man, things could get bad in a hurry for them. Really bad. So this is a dangerous game coming up for them. Notre Dame is at Michigan State next week. That's going to be one that's going to be fun to keep an eye on. Auburn travels to Missouri next week. Alabama goes to Vandy next week in Nashville. Boy, in Vandy, they're starting to play a little bit better. Also coming up next week, Arkansas is at Texas A&M. That game, of course, out in Dallas at Jerry Jones Stadium. Oklahoma travels to Baylor next week. And then Southern Cal is at Cal next week. UCLA at Stanford. And I know our buddy John Stringer said Cal is missing their top offensive player. Well, they're missing their starting running back. I did a little research on that, and yes, he is a very important part of that offense. But there's two other kids there that they think may be just as good. But the real issue, John, is that the Ole Miss defense is horrible. I mean that's the same problem they've had the last 3 or 4 years, and they just are missing so many top-flight defensive players on that defense. They're short on linebackers. They're short on defensive ends. Their corners are a little undersized. Now, they play with heart. I will give them that. But that's what I say. Just because Cal's missing the guy who's been their normal starting running back, I don't know. The Ole Miss defense is still what it is. I mean, you can only put so much silk on a pig, and still it's a pig at the end of the day. Let's talk about, coaching carousel and this coaching hot seat. We always like to talk about that on Friday a little bit before we wind it up for the day. But, I mentioned this Florida and Tennessee game. Think about this, and we were just talking about this. If Tennessee beats Florida and Florida starts the year 0-2, okay, this was a good segue to get us to this point, right? But if Florida loses this game and they start the year 0-2, first time since 1971, and have to go to Kentucky next week, boy, the heat really falls on Jim McElwain then. Now, there's already a growing groundswell call, if you will, for Jim McElwain to be gone, and Gator fans are already chomping at the bit, pardon the pun, to get Bob Stoops, the retired Oklahoma coach. Now, I don't know that Bob Stoops would come because Bob Stoops says he's retired. But sometimes when a coach retires, takes a year off, then what happens? They get the itch again. They get their fire back in them a little bit, get rejuvenated, and they're ready to go. So you've already got that. And if Florida loses to Tennessee, you're going to start hearing more and more of that, especially if the Florida offense struggles this weekend, because McElwain is that offensive guy. So I think the leash is getting very short on him. Kevin Sumlin is probably on the hottest of hot seats. You've got the Board of Regents folks out there at Texas A&M publicly posting about how bad Sumlin is. And, he's getting nasty racial letters at home. Then the thing that matters the most, his team is not playing well. And they struggled last week, barely beat an FCS team. And now they turn around this week, and they're at home against Louisiana Lafayette, and they're like a 22, 23-point favorite, the Aggies are. So if Louisiana Lafayette makes that a close game, or heaven forbid pulls the upset, then obviously Kevin Sumlin's nail in his coffin may be already in place. He needs a big win this weekend to keep the Boo Birds off. We mentioned next weekend Texas A&M playing Arkansas. That's going to be a big ball game because Arkansas is still trying to figure things out. So they really need to have some good things happen for them. Butch Jones has kind of helped take some of the pressure off by winning a couple of early games now. And if he's able to win at Florida, certainly I think his name comes off the hot seat, at least for a while. But now if Tennessee loses to Florida at the Swamp tomorrow afternoon, then I think the rumblings will continue for Butch Jones indeed. I think Dan Mullen, to whatever degree, may start to hear some rumblings if LSU comes in and manhandles Mississippi State. Now, if it's a close game, a tight game, I don't think you're going to hear much. It is what it is. But if LSU comes into Starkville and just thoroughly whips Mississippi State, I think you'll start to hear some rumbling about Dan Mullen. There's already one website out of the Chicago area that's calling for Brian Kelly to be fired at Notre Dame and for Dan Mullen to take over at Notre Dame. And some Mississippi State fans are ready to go. So they're ready for Dan Mullen to hit the road and hit on up there. But I think Dan Mullen, obviously not on the hot seat at this point, but could be moving forward. Auburn is interesting in that Gus Malzahn now finding himself on the hot seat, and Gus is doing something that I'm very disappointed. He's blaming his coordinators. He's blaming his coordinators privately, especially his offensive coordinator, Chip Lindsey. He said, I'm not calling the plays. Our offensive coordinator's calling the plays. You know what? You're the head coach. You're the guy that has to take the ultimate fall for your program. Going out publicly and even privately and putting your coordinators on blast is as low class as you can possibly get. I'm very disappointed in Gus Malzahn, and he's got a good offensive scheme, but it's just not working. Whether they haven't recruited the right players or the players aren't buying into what they're doing remains to be seen. But for Gus Malzahn and Auburn, they have got to find a way to get this thing turned around, and I mean get it turned around quickly and find some offense. Now, yes, they played a really good team last week. They only had just around a little over 100 yards of total offense, but keep in mind they played a really good football team last week in Clemson. So you got to give them a little bit of a break on that moving forward. But now, for Auburn, you've got Mercer coming in tomorrow afternoon, a 1AA team, an FCS team. And here's the thing. You find your offense in that game. Find your offense. If Auburn beats Mercer, let's say 24-0, you're still going to hear some grumbling. I think Auburn fans want to see the Auburn offense let loose and score 40, 50 points in this ball game. And if they don't, I think you'll hear the Auburn fans really start to grumble a little bit. You can sense that is out there and it's possibly coming. Now, speaking of Notre Dame is very interesting in that, Coach Kelly said over the offseason that he's a calmer, more polite coach. And then we saw after that Georgia game last week, he was already mad, disappointed, disgusted, and then he took it out on one of the female reporters in the post-game press conference. We talked about that earlier this week. They're at Boston College tomorrow afternoon, and that's no gimme. Now, Notre Dame should win the game, but that's no gimme up there at Boston College. If Notre Dame goes up there and lays an egg against Boston College, then I think that may actually be the first step in sealing the fate of one Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. So we'll have to wait and see. But those are my coaches on the hottest of the hot seats going into this weekend, week 3 of the college football season. All right, when we come back, I'm going to give you my SEC football power rankings, and then we're going to wind it up for this morning. So we're going to take a quick break. We're glad you're with us. If you're just joining us this morning, would you do us a favor? Would you please hit the like button and hit the share button right there on our Facebook broadcast? We appreciate that so very much. You see it? You see the buttons right there? Like button and share button? Hit it there. So go ahead and hit that for us. We're going to take a break. We're coming right back right here on Hey, Scotty McElroy. All right, everybody, final segment here on this Friday morning. Glad you're with us here, the people who are online, the people who are listening to our audio-only podcast. A couple of quick things. Let me just do a little housekeeping, if I will. Let me remind you that about 20, 30 minutes after the show each morning, we put the audio-only podcast up on our podcast page. You can find that at www.collegegamenotes.com. That's www.collegegamenotes.com. All you on Facebook, please go out there and check it out and subscribe to the podcast. We would greatly appreciate that so very much. It means the world to us for you to do that. So go to collegegamenotes.com and check it out. We would greatly appreciate that. So it really helps us grow what we're doing. So that is very helpful, and thank you. I appreciate that. We have a lot of people going to the podcast already, and people are enjoying that. So that's really cool, and thank you for doing that. Also, if you're on the Facebook page, whether you're watching live or perhaps you're watching the recorded version later in the day, we would love for you to hit the like button and hit the share button. Y'all see that right there on the Facebook broadcast? When you do that, that really helps us with the growing our audience as well. So hit the like button, hit the share button right there. Also, a couple of quick things. We put our picks out against the spread every Saturday morning. It is a subscription service. We keep it very inexpensive. And what we do, I have 9 friends of mine who are handicappers in Las Vegas. Usually about Wednesday, we send each other the games we like. We email them back and forth, and we all start just emailing and chatting in a Gmail chat back and forth, and we come up with the consensus games. So far this year, we are 21-7 against the spread. 21-7 against the spread. And we've identified about, looks like 9 to 12 games this weekend we really like. If you would like to get those picks and get that subscription set up, it is $25, but that gets you all the plays for the weekend. All you have to do is simply email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com. I will make sure to get you those. We'll either text you the plays tomorrow morning or we will email them to you. And some really good picks, I think, coming up tomorrow. And then last but not least, I mentioned it, the college football newsletter that we send out by email every Wednesday night, Thursday morning. It's called The Extra Point. If you're not subscribing to that, make sure that you email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com. And I will get you all set up with the subscription information for that. It's got the TV listings for all the games. It's got our notes and tidbits and all the different news of college football. It's got the Vegas information. It's a 2-page deal. You print it out. People love to print it, put it by their remote control for the weekend so they know where and when the games are on TV. Plus, it's just, it's one of those things. If you're a guy, you can print it out, put it in the bathroom. Man, I had somebody the other day say, don't take this the wrong way, but I print it out every week and take it straight to the bathroom. That's my reading material when I'm in the library. I said, you know what? That's TMI, but thank you. I appreciate that. So just email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com, heyscottymac@gmail.com, and I will make sure that you get that information about subscribing to The Extra Point. So, and again, I want to thank our sponsors. We have some great sponsors. Second Amendment Shooting and Sport in Niceville. What a great store that is right there. Aaron Weinstock and his staff are amazing. Huge selection of every type of silencer you can imagine, even silencers for shotguns. How about that? And they are very experienced in filling out all the forms you need to get your approvals and get yourself all set up for your firearm. They have an in-house attorney. I mean, everything is done in-house, so they really reduce the time of waiting down to just almost nothing. So make sure that if you're looking at firearms, doesn't matter if you're in Pensacola, Panama City, Birmingham, Atlanta, Memphis, Jackson, Mississippi, Baton Rouge, you want to check out Second Amendment Shooting and Sport in Niceville, Florida. Also, Bayou Bill's Crab House here in the Panhandle. Man, that's where the locals here eat. You know, I have people that come to town and they're come to the beach for vacation. They say, hey, where do you recommend we go eat? And I always tell them Bayou Bill's Crab House. There's 2 locations. One over in the Panama City Beach area at Inlet Beach, right there in front of the Winn-Dixie. The other one, the other store located in Santa Rosa Beach, right there on Highway 98. Incredible seafood, great fall-off-the-bone barbecue ribs, award-winning gumbo. They have a sports bar at each location as well. So check out Bayou Bill's. that's probably where we're going to be Saturday night watching the Ole Miss Cal game, it looks like. Also, our friends at 98 Barbecue, John Sealing and his staff do a great job over there. They sponsor our game of the week. And don't forget, you've got 2 chances to win this week. We have not 1, but 2 games of the week in our 98 Barbecue Game of the Week contest. Just send us your score for both games. The first game, Clemson and Louisville. Second game, Florida and Tennessee. Make sure you either send your score to us here on the Facebook page, or if you like, you can text it to us on our text line, which is 850-460-0326. 850-460-0326. Make sure you put your name on it where you're texting from. We're going to be giving away 2 $20 gift cards to 98 Barbecue for our games this week, and we thank them so very much. All right, let's look at our SEC Power Rankings before we get out of here today. We like to give those to you on Friday. Number 1, obviously, Alabama. And these are not by division. These are overall power rankings. Alabama just on a roll. Number 2, LSU. And if LSU gets a big win at Mississippi State, they will solidify that. But nipping at their heels, number 3, Georgia, the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 4 in my power rankings of the SEC. This may surprise some people, but the South Carolina Gamecocks. Boy, Will Muschamp's team, they've got a good quarterback, they've got a feisty defense, and they're playing with confidence. Number 5, Tennessee. Number 6, the Florida Gators, but that could go up or down depending on what they do this weekend. Number 7, Auburn. Number 8, Kentucky. Number 9, Vanderbilt, and that probably is a little low for Vandy. They might ought to be a little bit higher. Number 10, Mississippi State. Number 11, Ole Miss. Number 12, Arkansas. Number 13, Missouri. And number 14, Texas A&M. Those are my SEC power rankings for this week. And you can get those plus a lot of other great things inside our college football email newsletter, The Extra Point. As a matter of fact, I just looked down and I see there's like 13 emails of people saying, I want to subscribe to The Extra Point. So we're adding more and more people every day. So if you want to subscribe, email me. As soon as the show is over, I'll email you the information back how you can subscribe to the newsletter, okay? But the folks who've already emailed this morning, I will definitely get that out to you as soon as the show is over. All right, well, it's going to be a great day. Don't forget, coming up later this afternoon, now we're going to be back doing our college football recruiting update show. That'll be coming up after lunch this afternoon. We'll be back here. It's about a 20 to 30-minute show where we update you each Friday on the latest in college football recruiting news, so don't go anywhere. That'll be coming this afternoon. Also, don't forget, tomorrow morning, Saturday morning at 9 a.m., that's Saturday morning at 9 a.m. It's our college football kickoff show. We'll be doing a live show tomorrow morning, live from the Acme Oyster House there at the Seascape Golf Course location in Miramar Beach. Come on by, have some coffee with us, bring a sausage and biscuit or some donuts. We're going to do a live show from Acme Oyster House tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., our college football kickoff show. So we'll look forward to that. So hope you guys have an awesome day today. It is a Friday in which we're getting ready for college football. You know, in the off season, we dream about those Fridays, those college football Fridays where everybody's getting excited. So don't take these Fridays for granted, man. Love them and enjoy them. Soak up every minute and get ready for some great football games. We'll be back this afternoon with our college football kickoff update, our college football recruiting update. And then tomorrow morning, we will have our college football kickoff show. So this afternoon, right after lunch, our college football recruiting update show that we do every Friday. And then tomorrow morning, our weekly college football kickoff show at 9 a.m. right here on our Facebook page and then also on our podcast page. And again, check out the podcast page at www.collegegamenotes.com. That's www.collegegamenotes.com. That's where our podcast is. And again, thank you for hitting the like button and hitting the share button here on our Facebook broadcast. We greatly appreciate that. So you guys have an awesome day today. Get out there to enjoy the weekend. Enjoy some college football. We love you guys. We'll see you this afternoon with our college football recruiting update and tomorrow morning with our college kickoff show. Have a great one, everybody.